Welcome and hi to everyone. My name is Nur Anissa Alia and I am from Diploma Administrative Management. We are from Group 5. We are going to present about private company. What is private company? Private company is a firm that privately owned. Private company may issue stock and have shareholder, but they share their trade on public exchange and are not issued through a IPO. As a result, a private company do not need to meet a Securities and Exchange Commission strict filing for requirement for public companies.
Characteristic of private company. Member the Acts provide that a private limited company must have a minimum of 2 members, while the maximum members limit is 200. Number of directors. The Act provides that a private limited company must have a minimum of 2 directors, while the maximum number of directors is 50. Limited liability. The liability of all members or shareholders of a private limited company is limited. It means that when the company faces a loss under any circumstance, its shareholders will not be liable to sell their personal asset for payment. They will be liable to repay for only the amount of the shares subscribed or the guaranteed amount that have agreed to pay. Perpetual succession. Perpetual succession means the company will continue to exist in the eyes of the law irrespective of insolvency, bankruptcy, or death of any members. The life of the company continues to exist forever. Types of private company. First, sole proprietorships. Company ownership in the hands of one person. A sole proprietorship is not its own legal identity. Its assets, liability, and all financial obligations fall completely onto the individual owner. Partnerships. Another type of ownership structure for private companies. They share the unlimited liability aspect of sole proprietorships but include at least 2 owners. The last one is limited liability companies have multiple owners who shares ownership and liability. This ownership structure merges some of the benefit of partnership and corporations, including pass-through income, taxation, and limited liability without having to incorporate.
The requirements for private limited company registration are: members. There must be a minimum number of 2 members or shareholders before applying for registration after a company. However, the number of members cannot be more than 200. Directors. There must be a minimum number of 2 directors for registration. A private limited company. All directors must have a director identification number (DIN) issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs (MCA). Registration office address. The company owner must provide the company registration office address or temporary address when applying for registration. Digital Signature Certificate (DSC). The company registration is entirely online. The company registration form and document must be digitally signed. These all directors must obtain a DSC before applying for registration. Legal aspect. Warranties and amenities. Warranties are given in general form by the seller, disclosed against in a separate disclosure letter so as to limit any potential liabilities of the seller before completing. An indemnity is a promise made by the seller to reimburse the buyer if a particular legal circumstance arises. The main issue which a buyer will want to seek. Contractual protection against in the SPA employees. The buyer will want to receive suitable representation and warranties surrounding the target employees. The employees will remain under contract at the target, which will fall in the buyer group. The buyer will want to ensure no key employees have given notice to leave the targets.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Amigun and I will be explaining the next point about legal aspects. In this point, we have removal of directors or officers. That is a subject to a constitution of a private limited company. A director can be removed by ordinary resolution subject to a special notice prescribed under the Companies Act 2016. The ordinary resolution for the removal of a director must be passed at a physical shareholders. General meeting cannot be passed by way of a written resolution. Next, we have annual company tax return. As a private limited company, it must be annually filed its annual tax return with the relevant tax authorities. Furthermore, a private company can be owned by one owner only. First, the owner will act as a manager and employee of the business. Sometimes, business owners are assisted by family members or one or two hired assistants. Business capital is contributed by owners themselves from the proceeds of savings or loans from the family. The owner of this business must register his or her business with the Office of the Register of Business. Business registration can be made by using the owner's name such as Kedai Runcit Ahmad Kamal or a business name such as Pasar Mini Pongsu Seribu. Sole proprietorship is a type of business that sells one type of a product or service that does not require large capital.
Hello madam and fellow friends, my name is Kamilasan and today I'm going to present on about legal aspect for the private company. So the first of all is acceptance. According to the section 2 clause B, when people to whom the proposal may express agreement with the proposal can then be said that the proposal was accepted. Okay, there are few acts for the private company. So the first of all is the owner is free to decide, and next, no need to share the profit for the company, and easy to set up the inexpensive for the company, and next is easy to control. After that, financial statements are not necessarily announced, and business secret guaranteed, and the last but least is lower tax rates due just pay income tax only once for the private company. Okay, so next I would like to present about what is the differences between private company and government company, I mean public company. Okay, in most of cases, a private company is owned by the company's founders, management, or a group of private investors, and a public company is a company that has sold all or portions of itself to the public via an initial public offering. And the main differences between a private versus public company is that the shares of a public company are traded on a stock exchange, while a private company shares are not. There are several more important differences to understand, and which this article will outline below. And the main categories of the differences are trading of shares, ownership, type of investors, reporting requirements, access to capital, and valuation considerations. Okay, next I would like to present about director duties for the private company. Okay, the first of all, for many private companies, the shareholders of the companies are often involved in the daily operation and management of the company, and therefore usually appoint themselves to be in a directors for the company. Next, in all private company, there must be at least 2 directors who each that have his or her principal or only place of residence within Malaysia. And next, a quality become directors of companies B must be, they have 4 qualities. That is, first one is a natural person, second is at least 18 years old, and third one is of sound mind, and last but least is not disqualified under Companies Act 1965. Okay, next I would like to present what are the advantages and disadvantages of the private company. Okay, now I'm going to tell about what are the advantages for the private company. So, private companies are owned by one or more shareholders. Quite often, these shareholders are supportive family members, and profit are only shared between shareholders, and they receive this as a dividend. And limited companies are able to raise money by borrowing and through the share issues of ordinary shares. And if the company fails, the investors in a limited company are protected by the rules of limited company. Next, I would like to tell about what are the disadvantages of the private company. Okay, limited companies must be registered with the Registrar of Companies, and the legal setup costs are expensive. Limited companies must be used documents called Memorandum of Association and Article of Association. Because profit are only shared with shareholders, it is harder to motivate and control workers who do not hold shares.
For supporting document, or we call case study. Shah Alam 4 August. The defense in the graph, trial involving Prestige Offshore Sdn Bhd. The first company charged under Malaysia newly introduced corporate liability law. Today reserve the document that the prosecution intends to use in the case. The documents were handed over the defense as required under the Criminal Procedure Code. When the case was called up before Judge Rosila Saleh at the Session Court here, Rosila then fixed October 11 for case management, during which the hearing date is expected to be set. Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Farid Gohim told the Egg. Prestige Offshore was charged on March 18 under Section 11A of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) Act 29, which came into effect on June 1, 2020. It was accused of offering a bribe 321,050 to ensure that it was award of subcontract from Petronas Cari Gali. The offence was allegedly committed between June 29 and October 14 last year in Kinrara, Niaga 3, Puchong. Law of Malaysia Act 777. For the conclusion, a private limited company, locally known as a Sdn Bhd company, is the most common type of business entity in Malaysia. At the end, we can conclude by saying not only the private company, by saying that not the private limited company is a common form of a business, but it has many advantages, include more scope of profit and stability. That's all for our group 5 about a private company. Thank you for watching.